think it's a really interesting one for me that when I grew up, being a cricketer as a job wasn't actually an option. So I actually just ended up being something I fell into, and we only got professional contracts in 2013, so a year after I'd graduated from university. So for me, it was just something that I fell in love with the sport. I knew I wanted to play for England. From when I was 10 years old, I told anyone who'd listen, I'm going to play cricket for England. I don't think anyone realised I meant the England men's team, because I didn't know there was an England women's team at the time. But no, it wasn't actually something I thought I'm going to do as a job. I knew I wanted to play for England, and it just so happens that women's sport and women's cricket became professional while I was involved. So for those that don't follow cricket, our World Cup campaign got off to a pretty rocky start. We lost the first 3 games of the group stages, and pretty much if we'd lost one more game, we were out and going home very early, which as defending champions was a tough start and not expected whatsoever. But it kind of just took us really looking at the process of how we were playing. We were not playing anywhere near our best, and yet we were still getting within about 5% of what the opposition was getting. So we knew we didn't have to play our best cricket. We had to play that at the back end of the tournament if we were still in, but actually just what little improvements could we make to actually just get over the line in one game. So yeah, we finally got our first win against India. Really good performance. Absolute nail biter against New Zealand, where, you know, I'm a opening batter, so I was out pretty much first, and then you have to watch having absolutely no control of what's going on, and we won with 1 wicket left in with about 2 overs left, so an absolute nail biter, horrendous to watch, but we made it through. We got through to the final against Australia, who arguably have been the best team in the world for the last 5 years, and yeah, it was just a case of, you know, we were probably going in as the underdogs, and we just had to take it to them and see what we could do. But on the day, Alyssa Healy played an absolutely outstanding knock, one of the best I've ever seen in women's cricket, and they were a bit too strong for us, but at the same time, we could have been going home about 3 weeks earlier at that stage. Yeah, obviously one of my really good friends, Anya, has retired from international cricket, but I think the really good thing for our sport as a whole is she stayed in the game and gone straight in with a player coach role at the Southern Vipers. So that kind of gives me a bit of hope for when I retire, that there's going to be jobs around. But I think, you know, it's great to see so many young people coming through, and you know, the likes of Charlie Dean. Sophie Eccleston's #1 in the world, and she's 23 years old. So the future's very bright. Sophia Dunkley has just come in and had the most amazing kind of 12 to 18 months. And you know, they're girls that we kind of know about, but for me, you see every year the 100 throws up new players that you've not necessarily heard of. Alice Capsey from Southeast Stars is certainly someone to keep your eye on, but yeah, for me, I kind of find a new player every year that you're like, oh, where's she kind of come from? And quite quickly they end up in the England team, because now our talent pathway is so good. For me, the 100 just put the women's game on the map. I think it just exceeded all expectations that all of us as players had in terms of how particularly the women's game was going to be perceived. The number of people that have said to me, we came for the women's game and then we left and we didn't want to see the men. Or the amount of like almost full stadiums, even though there's a men's game later. It's Tuesday in London and people are skipping work to come, or they're bringing their kids during the holidays. So yeah, for me, I think it's only been a good thing for women's cricket, the fact that the salaries doubled pretty much for the women. There's a long way to go to get that kind of equality, but actually everything else in terms of the facilities we're given matches the men. The quality of the support you get is as good as the men, so that's kind of great to see. And yeah, I hope it just kind of goes from strength to strength each year, and people keep backing the women's game in particular. Yeah, I think for me, one of the things that does sometimes create trolls on social media or kind of a lot of negativity towards women's cricket is people say, oh, well, you know, if she was playing in a men's club league, she'd get whacked, or, you know, she couldn't face Jofra Archer. I don't want to face Jofra Archer, I'm not going to lie. Like, I know he's injured at the moment, please get well soon. But, you know, like, women's cricket is different, allow it to be different. Women and men are literally biologically different. That is absolutely fine. It doesn't mean it's any less. It's a different skill. There's different skills involved. Yes, we bowl slower, but that might mean you have to have more slower balls, more change-ups. As a batter, you might actually have to hold your shape for longer and not just kind of miss-hit a six, which happens in men's cricket. Men's cricket's a brilliant product, but so is women's cricket, and actually it's the comparison that kills it sometimes. Respect it for what it is. Yes, critique it where it's necessary. We've got loads of room to improve. We do mess up on the field. We are human, that happens. Happens in the men's game. But for me, it's that comparison of like, you know, how would they get on facing this man's bowler? How would this batter do? Like, that's what kills the kind of the game, I think. Well, the progression of the game anyway. Enjoy your cricket. Be really open to learning and always getting better, and don't fear making mistakes. I think quite often as young girls in particular, we try and be perfect, we try and have the perfect technique, whereas actually you see no two batters and bowlers are the same, so do it your way, just kind of learn as much as you can.